right, good afternoon and welcome to 660 here at Mad Anywhere. You are in for a real treat. Over the next 60 minutes, we're going to be checking out 6 startups that are solving McCormick's big challenge, and they're going to be awarding a 20k pilot to one of these companies. So we're going to spice things up a bit. I'll get onto that in just a minute. As Justin said, my name's Jeremy Bassett. I'm CEO of CoCubed, and we work in the middle of bringing corporates with challenges together with startups with solutions. It's a huge amount of fun. You could think of us as the innovation matchmakers. Here's a 30-second overview of what we do. Well, what I love about our work at CoCubed is that we get to work with some of the world's biggest brands, and we get to understand their challenges and find some of the world's best solutions to that. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here today. Over the last few months, we've been working with McCormick to understand what is their big challenge that they're looking to solve. A whole bunch of startups applied to MadFest, and our panel selected 6 of them that you're going to meet here today. And they're going to present in a very simple format. We've got 4 minutes per startup, followed by time for a quick question from our judge from McCormick. If you're new here to 660 or you weren't able to join the session with Diageo yesterday, then I encourage you to lean in on this. Startups are inventing the future, and as an industry, it's absolutely vital that we connect. Startups are delivering solutions that are more efficient at engaging with consumers. They're more effective at connecting with the people we need to reach, and they're working in a way that's more agile. And as an industry, we really need to be more effective, more efficient, and more agile. And that's what you're going to see today. So do lean in, have a look at the startups that are presenting. They're obviously presenting to McCormick for the chance to receive a paid pilot, but they're also pitching for the opportunity to work with you. So do think about how you could be working with these companies to drive personalization in your brands. So, like I said, a few months ago, we had the opportunity to meet with McCormick to understand more about their challenge and to dig into that further. And today, we're going to meet with the ultimate Spice Girl. That is Jen LaFrance. Jen, welcome to the club.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thanks so much for joining. So, Jen, let's keep going with the Spice Girl theme a little bit here. From A to Z, tell us what you do. Tell us a little bit about McCormick and about your role there as well.
Sure thing. Just a quick intro about McCormick. We are a leading global flavor company. We were founded over 130 years ago. We have just an incredible portfolio of brands, which include spices, herbs, and condiments, like Frank's Red Hot and French's Mustard. Now, Jeremy, for your European audience, you might know us as different brand names. We are the Schwartz brand in the UK. We are Ducros and the Vahiné baking brand in France and Camus in Poland. We are very much all about flavor. We have deep sensory science and global sourcing expertise, which really sets us apart. So my role within the company is head of global digital strategy. So my team and I help discern just what's next in terms of our overall digital ambitions. That includes work in driving digital consumer intimacy, which is what we're here to talk about today. We work very much in close partnership with our business teams around the world, particularly in marketing and e-commerce. And my team and I really do provide scalable solutions that enable our regions and our teams around the world to move much quicker than they would on their own. Okay,
so you mentioned building digital intimacy there. Tell us what you want, what you really want, Jen, when it comes to the brief. I'd love to hear a little bit of background to the brief, what you're looking for here.
Sure. This is all about personalization and specifically flavor personalization. Jeremy, this is just an area that's highly relevant to our consumers. And the reason we're briefing and we're so excited to be here today is because, we bring all these assets and all this flavor expertise, but we recognize that in order to make really meaningful progress, we need external partners and other thinking in order to move forward. So it's really key to our growth strategy, which is around driving one-to-one relationships with our consumers. And so it's very pertinent now because as we've seen in the wake of this pandemic, we now know that there are just extensive behavioral changes and insights that we now have. Consumers are much more reliant on digital experiences and connecting digitally, and they are also either discovering how to cook for the first time or coming back to their kitchen to make meals at home. So McCormick has a very highly relevant role to play in delivering against all those consumer needs. So that's a little bit about the brief and a little bit about what we're excited about learning more from these startups today.
Fantastic. And I mean, why now? Why is personalization such a hot topic now, Jen? What do you think's changed in the last few months or years that has driven that?
Well, I think, personalization has just been, progressively building in terms of its importance. I think a lot of brands are struggling with how to do that and how to deliver that in a real meaningful way. But ultimately, flavor and food and just taste overall is so highly personal. So Jeremy, what you like and the taste that you like are going to be very different than mine and, and everyone else here today. So it is more important, and it is so much more important in terms of, delivering what consumers are really looking for. And that's why, it's so important to how we're going to grow and how we believe that we can really kind of drive value within our consumer relationships.
Interesting. And when it comes to personalization, obviously that insinuates a direct relationship with the consumer, which is something that brands have always struggled a bit with. Have you tried this already at McCormick? Like what's worked, what hasn't when it comes to having that direct connection and the personalization?
No, it's a great question. I would say that we have dabbled in personalization approaches before with limited amounts of success. I think we really need to get into kind of delivering, we have great recipes, we have great products, but we're not doing, we need more help in terms of how to curate that into an experience that's relevant, and certainly an experience that lives across a whole spectrum of channels, whether those be owned, earned, or paid media. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of work to do with just harnessing and leveraging first-party data, which is another big initiative for us.
Okay, very cool. And when it comes to working with startups, have you done this before? Have you worked with startups at all?
We have not. So that's one of the big reasons that we're really excited today is, we have embarked on experimental pilots this year. So yeah, this is pretty much new territory for us.
Okay, come on, let's spice up your life then. And Jen, in terms of criteria, I mean, if a startup wanted to feature with you, aside from getting with your friends, sorry, I will stop the puns right now. That is the end of Spice Girls, I promise. When it comes to pursuing a pilot or a longer term project with McCormick, what are the sort of criteria that you're going to be applying today?
So there's those three big criteria, Jeremy. The first one is, what is that consumer value proposition? What are consumers really going to care about? How are they going to engage? And is that something that's repeatable? So we're not looking for something that's just a one-time engagement. We are looking for those sustainable, kind of deeper levels of relationship that are really driving value with the consumer. And the second criteria is really delivering value for our brands and for our business. So how is this idea or this concept going to contribute to our growth strategies and to directionally where we're headed, and how we see ourselves being kind of an indispensable partner for consumers around the world. And I would say the third criteria that we're looking at the evaluation through is just overall kind of feasibility and the ability to pull the trigger quickly together with this partner to make this a reality, and to really kind of learn quickly so we can figure out what can scale. So we want this to be repeatable, but we also want this to be scalable in terms of across brands and potentially across markets.
I love that. Yeah, one of the things we often talk about is this idea of thinking big, but starting small and moving fast. And you'll need to think about how does this transform the whole of McCormick around the world, but also I love the fact that you're putting 20K on the line here, test something out, see if it works, and then let's look at how we can scale it as well. So it's about starting small and getting going and learning. All right, let's get.
You mentioned, Jeremy, that I'm the judge, but I'm not the only judge here today. I'm joined by an illustrious group of colleagues today, an international group of senior leaders from Europe, from the Americas. Our CIO is here today, as well as our leaders in innovation. So I think it's just indicative of the passion we have for this space and how important it is to McCormick.
Fantastic. That's great to hear, Jen. And the way this is going to work, as you know, is we're going to have the startups giving their 4-minute pitch. We'll have time for a quick question, and then you and the team will have 5 minutes to debrief while we take a quick poll here, and then it will be back to announce the winner. All right, let's get this show on the road. So we're going to not slow it down, baby, but we are going to have some fun. Oh my goodness, I have far too many Spice Girl one-liners for a middle-aged man here. Why don't we get this show on the road? So personalization at scale begins with having a deep understanding of the individuals that you're serving. And hyper-personalization is, of course, enabled by a company called Hyper. So from Hyper, please welcome Peter. Pete, over to you.
Lovely, thank you, Jeremy. So Peter Denby, I'm a co-founder and director of Hypergroup. So our mission is to make data science and personalization accessible to everyone. And we do that by helping brands with data strategy, hands-on data science, and using our technology platform. So personalization for us is really about understanding consumers as human beings and recognizing our inherent need to be treated as individuals. And that's quite straightforward to do on a limited basis, but at scale is pretty challenging. So our solutions look to address that. And a lot of personalization initiatives at the moment seem fragmented, and it seems like as a consumer, you get a very generic experience, and that experience is different across the different channels through which you interact with brands. But there are notable exceptions to this rule. Now, Netflix might seem like a funny comparison to McCormick, but actually many of the techniques that Netflix use to personalize customer experience could easily be replicated by McCormick and actually form part of our proposal to you. So Netflix go really deep on using data science to understand customer behavior. So what content do their customers consume? How do they describe that content, which we would call attributes? How similar are different customers and a different content, which we would call affinity? And how do customers go about making decisions on the content that they want to consume? So we would call that need states. So Netflix use that data science to create loads of rich insight, and from that insight, they'll then personalize your experience as a customer, the content that they recommend to you, all the way through to the artwork that they use to make each piece of content look really, really attractive. So our solution for McCormick, so in a similar way to Netflix, but also companies like Spotify and Airbnb, we'd recommend using affinity analytics attributes and customer need states to enable personalization and optimize product recommendations. And there's 4 steps to this. So first of all, we take a data feed from McCormick. So this is historical and real-time customer basket data, plus web browsing clickstream data. Second, we perform affinity analytics. That allows us to determine how products are shopped together by individuals, which products have a strong affinity, where's there a lot of loyalty towards products, and also which are substitutable. So chicken seasoning for poultry seasoning, for example. Next, we create product attributes, so customer-centric characteristics of products based on how they're viewed in the eyes of the customers, which is really important. So the customers see them as everyday essentials, value basics, for example, and this gives us a rich language with which we can describe products and the customers who buy them. And then finally, customer needs, so identifying the customer decision tree or need state based on click-by-click interactions and historical basket comparison. So a need state might be, I need to season a roast chicken. So we create loads of insight through this process, and that insight would then use to personalize experiences for McCormick customers. A useful byproduct is you can use the same insight to help plan assortment, optimize price, and forecast demand. So the insights and the data that will be output from affinity analytics attributes and customer need states will feed downstream systems such as CRM, content management, or ERP, so you can deliver those personalized experiences wherever the customer wants to interact with you. So it could be presenting assortment in a way that's in line with customer needs, targeting social campaigns, personalized content and communications, optimizing search and sort order so you can drive faster conversion, and then giving specific recommendations around particular need states. So by using this type of approach, using data to curate the customer journey, we'd expect customers to benefit from an easy, a faster, frictionless experience that's valuable, relevant, and rewarding, ultimately increasing customer loyalty and lifetime value, helping make McCormick an even more successful business. Thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Pete. Well, now we know what all the hype's about. Jen, questions for Pete?
Great. Thank you so much, Pete. I do have a quick question. You mentioned, ingestion of clickstream data, but also actual purchase data. I just am very interested to know what your source is for that, because as you probably know, we don't have a tremendous amount of purchase data. Most of our products are sold through retailers. So maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think you'll be looking at what data you have available. So I guess there's some data from your website. I've been on the website. I've created my my customer profile. So where you have permission from customers, then it may be that you can use that data. If not, then there's anonymized data can be used in this respect. But then also we really advocate developing partnerships with your retail partners. So we work a lot with grocery retailers in the UK, for example. And if you can work with them for mutual benefit to ingest data that they may have around browsing behavior and purchase behavior from your products, then that might be another option. We would work with you to identify what those data sources could be that could feed into the product.
Okay. Fantastic. Well done, Pete. Stick around. We're going to be announcing the winner after this, so don't go too far. But right now, it's time to head over to our second pitch. And of course, Pete has shown us how you can understand who the customer is and what you need to be targeting them with. But the next question is, well, where does the content come from and how do you develop that? Well, a company that is bringing innovation to this space is Myappy. And from Myappy, we're joined by Martin. Martin, over to you.
Lovely. Thanks, Jeremy. Hi, good afternoon, Jennifer. I'm Martin from Miappi. And I'm here today to pitch the idea of using consumer-generated content to increase engagement and to create authentic, personalized messages across McCormick's digital marketing landscape. So Nielsen says that 92% of consumers around the world say they trust earned media, such as recommendations from friends and family, above all other forms of advertising. In an age when the consumer wants it real, how can brands communicate that authenticity? Myappy is a software platform that helps brands discover and publish and distribute rights-managed user-generated content. Our platform allows the brands to search for content by hashtag, by mention, and even by image, making it easy for the brand to fulfill its content needs. Once consent is acquired through our GDPR-compliant engine, the brand can then distribute the content through multiple digital touchpoints. These include websites, social media, digital signage, and email. The end result? Well, statistics show that brands who use consumer-generated content find that it increases engagement, it increases revenue when used in an e-commerce situation, it saves time, and it reduces costs. And quickly, I'd just like to go through one product-specific example. So like McCormick, the vegetarian butcher, a Unilever brand, came to Miappi because they were keen to create inspirational and authentic web experiences for their potential customers. Miappi's powerful AI rules enabled them to quickly categorize and distribute their best content over 33 product-specific website galleries. Now, displaying across numerous European markets, these visual galleries entice new customers by showing them recipe ideas and delicious end results, which from the customer's a vegetarian butcher. And I'm just going to finish just to say that we have been surfacing McCormick content now for about 6 or 7 days, and we've already found some really inspirational, authentic content that has been created by your brand advocates and current customers. So to conclude, Miappi enables you to reduce your customer content costs, save time, and increase engagement.
Fantastic. Thank you, Martin. I can see like lots of great opportunities there to spice up McCormick's asset bank. Jen, what are your thoughts on Myappy? Questions for Martin?
Sure. Thank you, Martin. My big question, just because this is a highly competitive space, as you know, so I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about what differentiates your service from other UGC collection and curation, offerings or platforms that are out there in the marketplace now.
Sure. So we have a very mature, full-featured platform, and the team around that platform has the ability to work with a number of very global clients. So, for example, we work with Unilever across 18 different markets, and we don't just offer the technology. We also offer advisory and consultancy services, so to help people such as yourselves get the most out of using this content and leveraging it across your touch points.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you, Martin. Stick around. We're going to be announcing the winner right after this. But for now, it's time to dive into our third pitch today. And of course, we've just looked at user-generated content. Another way to create great content is through personalized videos at scale. And a company doing just that is Spirable. So from Spirable, it's over to Chris. Chris, welcome to the club.
Thank you. Am I on? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to assume I'm on. Hey guys, so as I mentioned, I'm Chris. I look up to CPG at Spirable. We're here to talk about personalized content. But before I do, I want to talk around the stat. There's a stat that says that today's consumers scroll the height of Mount Everest in a year, which is a pretty overwhelming stat. Essentially, what that means is that your consumers are scrolling through a lot of content. That's content from your friends, from news, but also from your competitors' content. So through your advertising, it's more paramount than ever to stand out from your competition. And the way you need to do that is to personalize, to be more relevant, and to really speak to that consumer within those moments. So that's where Spirable comes in. Spirable is a video ad platform that allows brands to scale their video ads through data and automation, in turn making that video content more dynamic, more relevant, in turn driving better performance. So we do that by taking existing creative, ingesting different data sources, and then distributing it through multiple different channels. We're a Facebook marketing partner, so it means you can directly distribute the creative from Spirable to the ad account. Same for Snapchat, Twitter, YouTube, email, and across display as well. The way we do this, we take that master creative, we break it down into different layers. Each layer can be dynamic, a background layer, a product, copy, animation, anything within that video can be a layer that we then make dynamic. The different data that we can bring in is quite vast. We are a creative tool and we integrate with third-party data. So what we do is we take audience data. This is data that comes from platforms like Facebook, and we allow you to create more audience-specific messaging. We can bring in location, so we can bring in things like the statewide, city-based, so it could be saying hi London, hi New York. We can go even more granular to a location. So if your objective is to drive football, we can target the closest Tesco store, the Sainsbury's store. We can bring in any weather trigger, so whether it's hot, cold, sunny, cloudy. We can also bring in live data. So this could be things like time of day, day of week, so having a morning creative compared to an afternoon, a weekend creative compared to a weekday. But then we can also bring in things like live sport. Say one of your brands has a partnership with the EPL, the Olympics. How can we leverage that to do branded content? Talk about the latest win, the live score, whatever it might be. For me, my background's in creative, and I think I've spent so many years looking at generic creative. This is the technology that bridges the gap between media and creative. Really, the ability to speak to a consumer in the moment at a particular time. If you know you're targeting consumer on a Monday morning and it's raining in London, how do you want to speak to them compared to when it's sunny on a Saturday? Think of a brand like Schwartz, barbecue, outdoor moments. To run through a couple of examples, running through things like live data, we can do things like bringing in live sports scores, or we can do audience-specific messaging. Thought there was no volume on that, but I'll pause it. Where we're talking around different audiences. So for things like Quaker Oats, you're talking around finding your Monday morning balance. You're talking about the specific product benefits, talking about what that means to that consumer. We can do things like hyperlocal targeting. So one thing that's quite relevant for us right now is obviously COVID, lockdown. So we work with brands like Aldi. We bring in the local Aldi store and we talk about the quietest time to go shopping. We're using their sales data. We're localizing it at a hyperlocal layer, and we're supporting social distancing. Go shop at Aldi between 7 and 10 p.m. at the Coventry Aldi to support social distancing. You can obviously use that to drive footfall, to drive conversion. And then other than that, we can also do some interesting things in one-to-one messaging, leveraging first-party data, things through chatbots, things through e-commerce, once, if you're buying something for a gift for a consumer, rather than giving them a personalised message, why don't you create a personalised video? We've done things with Diageo, Victoria Beer, where we're doing that and so forth. But the reason people are using Spirable is there's huge production efficiencies, there's huge media tracking efficiencies, and the stats are out there that shows to be more relevant, you drive better performance and you will achieve your objective, hopefully sooner than ever. But that's Spirable.
It's great. Well done. Good pitch there, and great to see how this is really coming along. Jen, what are the questions you have for Chris?
So thank you, Chris. Just a question, because you mentioned, geographic targeting based on weather, which is very interesting. When I think about this platform in terms of its repeatability, is the Spirable platform able to learn and target at an individual level so that we can almost do a sequence of personalized videos over time?
Yeah, definitely. Sequential messaging and the ability to tell a story is definitely what we should do. One thing, obviously, 4 minutes isn't a whole lot of time, but it's to talk around optimization. It's not about setting and forgetting. It's about how to really understand the best message that resonates, but then also understanding frequency caps. What's that next message? How do you tell a story rather than driving all the product benefits in that first message? So for us, definitely look at sequential messaging, telling that story and optimizing that consumer journey.
Fantastic. All right, thank you, Chris. Stick around. We're going to be announcing the winner right after this, but that's 3 down. We've got 3 to go now. And our next company is taking us out of the world of digital and back into the world of print. We've talked a lot about digital, and of course, building digital intimacy is part of this brief. But what about print? Well, a company bringing innovation to this space is Stampix. And from Stampix, we have Holly. Holly, over to you.
Hello. Hi, Jennifer. Hi, Jeremy. And hello to the mad audience. My name is Holly, and I'm delighted to be here introducing Stampix to you today. The mission of Stampix is to make people happy by printing their photos, ensuring that it's fun, fast, and free for them. We work with a variety of brands and sectors who, in this way, get to be part of their customers' living room or kitchen fridge where these photos end up. Established in 2016, Stampix has already delivered 4 million branded photos. We've all got thousands of photos on our phone, and Stampix makes it fun and easy for a brand to connect with consumers through personal photos. But why is this relevant? These photos are of the people we know, like, and trust. And from a brand's perspective, especially when it comes to personalisation, that is also the emotional territory where they want to be. Whether you're a telco, a baby care brand, or McCormick, Stampix provides the opportunity of enabling a brand to capture customer insights and deliver personalised branded content that will be kept in the family home, in this case, like my own home, on the kitchen fridge. The Stampix platform can be integrated to wherever people keep their photos, whether it's on Instagram or on any device. It's really flexible. Let me show you how the McCormick customer journey could flow. Let's start with the McCormick Facebook page. Simply announce that there's an exclusive gift in your Flavor Maker app, or we can link straight from the social media pages. It's up to you. We also have clients who have launched with on-pack comms. Either way, we link to a McCormick branded microsite where the customer is easily instructed to create a postcard for someone they miss having at their table. They upload photos, select their favourite meals and something they'd like to try. You brief us on the data you'd like to capture. And this is where we expect over 70% of users to opt in to hear more from McCormick. And they can also opt in to share their photos with you too, providing you with user-generated content. Upon concluding their personalised postcard order within the microsite, we'll send them 2 branded emails that have open rates of 80% and 65%. These can host a digital coupon and can click through to your recipe or Instagram page for immediate inspiration. The moment someone receives their photo is a moment of pure delight. It's a really positive feeling, and your brand will have harnessed the emotional experience of a personal recommendation from someone they know and trust. They're talking about their next meal together, and the choices will be visible through the QR codes. For the £20,000 pilot budget, Stampix will deliver the following: an in-app plugin, a branded microsite, data capture and transfer, social share modules, photo support and hosting, printing and postage of 15,000 personalised recipe cards, customer care throughout the campaign, and post-campaign reporting. We can go live in 2 weeks. the campaign can achieve the following opportunities to see of 930,000 and achieve an ROI of 272%. This is recognising that average customer spend is about £4 per customer per year. There's a real opportunity here to provide personalised communications that establish direct one-to-one relationships with your consumers and the peers of your consumers too. McCormick brings the joy of flavour to life, and delicious food has the power to bring people together. A branded photo will remind you, your consumers, of this. Thank you for having me at your table today. And if there are any questions, I welcome them via email as well at holly@stampix.com.
Fantastic. Great pitch there, Holly. Thank you for that. Jen, let's jump straight in with a question for Holly.
Sure. Thank you so much, Holly. You mentioned a lot about in-app kind of integration, social integration from a distribution standpoint. Would we be able to host the actual kind of technology or kind of the photo creation technology within our own channels so that we could capture that first-party data?
At the moment, that's not the way that we work. We host the microsite on your behalf, and then the consumers have the option of opting in to hear more from you. And the average opt-in rate across all of our campaigns is 74%. And our highest that we've seen is with a Unilever campaign during lockdown just in April, and that was 85%.
Okay, interesting. Holly, I've got a question for you as well. I'm just interested, with the brands that you work with, what sort of coverage do they normally cover? You talked about 15,000 postcards, for instance, in this campaign. What's the normal scale that you work to?
So we're really recommending a postcard for the McCormick campaign to maximise the reach. But our most common product is actually a pack of 5 photographs. They can be the classics, 5 classics, with the branded content on the reverse of each of these, or they can be 10 retro-style photos where the McCormick branding would appear on the front. So they appear as Polaroid photographs.
Okay. Very cool. Thank you, Holly. Stick around. We're going to be announcing the winner right after this, but it's time to introduce our next startup. And one of the things about Flavor is that it's highly functional, but of course it also offers an amazing opportunity to tap into emotions. Well, a company with a solution that brings both of these together really nicely is Foundry. And from Foundry, we've got Steve. Steve, over to you.
Hi there, and welcome to my kitchen. At Foundry, we've experienced the power that personalized video can have when it's combined with insight, data, and most importantly, creativity. Foundry is all about one-to-one conversations at scale, delivering meaningful personalized videos. We're not about making ads at Foundry. But first, you know what? The reason I've spent so much time in this kitchen is because I really, really miss travel. I miss experiencing new things, being thrown into new situations, and I'm not alone. We're all missing the ability to jump on a flight and experience travel. And what I really crave is the taste of travel. Flavors have the ability to transport you back to places that you've traveled, or even take you to the places that you've wanted to travel to, but you haven't been able to thanks to Corona. And that's why we see the opportunity for this personalization at scale pilot for McCormick, it's to really bring the taste of travel to lockdown life using personalized video. So what we can do with Foundry, we can either take first-party data from your CRM, or we can create a data capture form, and from either or both of these data sources, we can take key data points relevant to the travel and taste message. Foundry would then take that data, render the video content, and make it available in the cloud for delivery. And here is an example that we've put together for you. So here you can see in this short, sharp example, we've taken your name, we've shown Jennifer the places, a country that aligns to Jennifer's taste to really connect and engage that thirst for travel, which everyone is yearning for. And our engine can also use images such as these from your library, or of course, we've got various sources that we can grab them from. And from here, you can see that we've personalized the dishes for Jennifer, and of course, heroing your product range, be that spices, herbs, or condiments that aligns with Jennifer's personalized preferences. And of course, we can go deeper, much, much deeper, taking into account if Jennifer was a vegetarian, so she'd never get a dish with meat in it, for example. So I've been talking to you for about 2 minutes and 40 seconds, roughly. So if at the beginning of the presentation, you had delivered us your data at the beginning, we would have been able to render, say, 500,000 personalized videos, and we would have already delivered them back to you, all available in the cloud. And once it's all set up, it can just run automatically. And that's just the beginning. That's just the pilot that we're talking about. We can then look at the engagement, the click-through rates, and learn so much more about your audience to deliver an even more personalized journey to purchase. We've only got 5 minutes, so I can't go into GDPR, but I can assure you we're GDPR compliant. And in summary, for this pilot, we would further finesse our idea for you based around the insight that people can't travel, do a data audit because we need to ensure your data matches the creative, audit your existing creative such as travel and product stills, build a base layer project so our render engine is all set up and ready to go. And once the creative is approved, we're aligned and we are ready to go and it's set up. And of course, there's the all-important feedback loop, the test and learn cycle. And it's just the start of our capabilities. In the future, we can deliver across website, we can publish personalized videos across social, build personalized or augmented reality, develop personalized recipe experiences. With our creativity combined with our technology, the possibilities are endless. And we'd love to have the opportunity to go on this adventure with you, to get closer to your consumers, to build deeper relationships and build personalization into the moments that matter. And my 4 minutes are up. I'd love to hear any questions that you've got.
Fantastic. Thanks, Steve. And great approach there to personalization. Jen, let's jump in with a quick question for Steve.
Sure. Thanks, Steve. And as you said up front, you are not alone. There's so many of us missing the ability to travel right now. As you said, in addition to using our own assets, we do have a lot of content assets that are recipe and product oriented. How do you identify other external partners or content partners that we might need to really make this a rich, robust, and immersive experience when it comes to connecting consumers to travel experiences and food that they're missing or we're hoping to enjoy during their travel experiences?
Yeah, sure. So rather than going that next step for us, to look at other partners, first of all, we'd really look at the consumer and really understand what the consumer is looking for before we start going further to looking for partners and content partners, etc. For us, it's all about that's the magic of this is getting that deeper level of understanding of your consumers and what they're looking for.
Okay. Great. Thanks, Steve. Stick around. That's 5 down. We've got 1 more to go. And obviously, the great thing about personalization is it enables a two-way dialogue. Well, the company bringing innovation to this space and helping McCormick to better listen to their consumers is Instapanel. And from Instapanel, we're joined with Oscar. Oscar, over to you.
Thank you, Jeremy. So yes, my name is Oscar Turales, and I run commercial strategy here in Instapanel. And I also love to cook. And that's probably because I grew up in a family where everybody cooks. From a very early age, I spent a lot of time in the kitchen helping out, and that's how I came to really love food and cooking. And when the opportunity to talk to you came about, I couldn't help but to think about people that may be struggling to get their home cooking going, that maybe they don't have any experience. And I thought that it's something that McCormick could help them with, come up with experiences or partnership products that could help them up their game. And Instapanel could help too. So how could that work? Well, one way to characterize what we do is that we are on a mission to reinvent focus groups for a time when we now have access to people walking around with their mobile devices and being able to provide input and feedback in real time, and also importantly in context, because they can do this wherever they are. And typically the way it works is that we use social media targeting to recruit consumers that can participate in our studies. So they will see an ad on Facebook or Instagram or Snapchat. If you're looking for really younger people, they don't know why they're seeing the ad, but behind the scenes, there's a lot of information that we can use to really zero in on the right audiences. And once we have them, they are taken to our web-based survey platform, which means there are no apps to install, no plugins. It just works in any device available to them, which could be their laptops, their smartphones, tablets, what have you. And once there, we can ask them questions or show them any kind of stimuli, and they will record themselves on video answering those questions. Once we have all these video responses, the bulk of the work that we do is extracting insights from them. We'll do transcriptions, translations when needed, because we do support about 30 languages right now globally. And then once we have all that text data, our analysts will come in and sociologically tag those responses, which means that we are not just looking at keywords, but actually trying to understand the concepts and notions that are being expressed by the participants, which in addition to the video content will give you a lot of richness of and context to develop insights from. Once we have all this data, we collate it into an interactive infographic that looks very much like this, where you can segment all of these areas are clickable, so you can really dig deep into the data. We won't have time to go into a full demo here, but the idea is that using all these interactive features, you can really dig into demographic data, behavioral targeting. With a large enough sample size, it can start becoming very quantitative, and you can see how maybe different people in different areas of the world are reacting to different aspects of the products you're trying to develop, or the content they are willing to or hoping to publish for them. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity, and I'm open to hear any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Oscar. Well, Jen, let's jump straight in with a question for Oscar.
Sure. Thank you, Oscar. It sounds like a really kind of unique recruiting approach in how Instapanel operates, as well as how you extract those insights. I am interested in just understanding the value or the types of insights that Instapanel is able to provide that might be different from other online consumer focus groups that we do globally. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so I think that the combination of the recruitment approach, right? So we are really our mission is to elevate the quality of the insights by elevating the quality of the participants, right? So we don't have a pool of people that we bombard with opportunities to participate in studies. These are fresh out of social media, right? So 99% the people that participate in Instapanel haven't done it before. So that has already like a unique value from our perspective. And then in terms of the kinds of projects that are more successful, I would say are related to marketing strategies, like, campaigns you're trying to launch, getting some ethnographic studies, trying to find gaps in terms of products that people would like to see in the market, or content that they would like to see a brand participating into, the kind of conversations, where they go to find their information. In your case, I could see how we could get insights from your people that are already very, very versed with the McCormick products, and try to use those insights to teach new home cooks how to use the products to up their game in the home kitchen.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Oscar. Well done. Great pitch there. Do stick around, and Jen, we'll let you go off and deliberate. And what a ride it's been. We started off a couple of months ago with this brief from McCormick. We invited startups from around the world to pitch their big idea to MadFest, and then our panel has selected the 6. We've just heard from each of those 6 via the pitches, and now it's time to hear from Jen to get her thoughts and the McCormick thoughts on each of the 6 companies. Jen, before we announce the winner, why don't you talk us through each of the companies? So we started off the journey looking at Hyper, and they had a really interesting approach to understanding people through, more of a research approach, I guess. What were your thoughts on Hyper?
Absolutely. Hyper has a great kind of offering here and a really compelling usage of artificial intelligence, which McCormick is definitely leaning forward in, and love the use of clickstream data, as well as thinking through kind of creatively how we could partner with retailers to bring in actual in-store data to help augment the data that we have ourselves. So really, really interesting offer from Hyper for sure.
Cool. And then after Hyper, we had a look at Myappy, and we looked at their approach to creating content through user-generated content. What were your thoughts on Myappy?
So Myappy, this is, McCormick is huge fans of user-generated content for all the reasons that Martin articulated. Highly authentic, highly credible, and this really resonates with consumers, and we've already kind of navigated some of that territory in terms of leveraging user-generated content, which we know gets great engagement and really does drive relationships with consumers.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next company we looked at was Spirable and their concept for personalized videos at scale. What were your thoughts on Spirable?
So Spirable, again, another really compelling offer from a personalized videos at scale. We have a tremendous volume of video content, but a lot of that content is very static. So how to make recipes, it's very entertaining, very well done, gets a lot of engagement, but this would definitely take us into new territory in terms of video personalization at scale.
Okay, cool. And so after looking at the two digital solutions, we then had a look at Stampix and their big idea for photos and turning those into a touch point. What were your thoughts on Stampix?
Yeah, so photos and certainly food imagery is so enormous, and again, just that strong emotional connection. And I love the potential kind of application of using this, particularly at highly emotional times, since we're missing each other at, or will be missing each other at Christmas time and other key holiday seasons. So it's a really interesting offer from how we kind of think about direct mail and print applications differently.
It's true, actually. My wife's been printing off like reams of different photos that I've never really seen or appreciated. It's unusual what COVID's doing to our family, at least. After that, we had a look at Foundry, and we looked at their big idea for fusing this idea of travel and flavor together. What were your thoughts on Foundry?
Well, we definitely love the idea of thinking about travel and thinking about the various locations, not only where our spices and herbs are grown and sourced, where we have extensive partnerships, but also how consumers are so tied to their own travel experiences. So we have done a lot of work in that space to start to think about how to bring those experiences that consumers have had in their travel journeys, past and hopefully future, in the not too distant future, in the next year or so. So we definitely, it's a great idea, and it's a concept that we've been talking about and brainstorming around for quite some time as well. So it is right in our wheelhouse for sure.
Very cool. And then the last company we looked at was Instapanel and the way that they're reinventing panels and focus groups. What were your thoughts on Instapanel?
With Instapanel, I think, as I mentioned to Oscar, I think the recruiting approach is really interesting and very different from how we've done kind of our online focus groups. And the fact that it's global in nature is also really interesting to us, particularly as we think about personalization at scale and how we build experiences at scale. So it does seem very interesting in terms of the type of insights that they collect, as well as how they extract those insights and present them in a really interesting and sort of visual infographic way.
Very cool. So Jen, we've seen 6 really interesting companies, all taking the brief from a very different perspective. But of course, there can only be one winner. I mean, that doesn't mean that you can only work with one company. Of course, you can work with as many as you like. But we're looking for one winner for the Mad Anywhere Brand Challenge, and of course, the 20k pilot that goes with that. Can you please do us the privilege of announcing the winner?
Absolutely. As you mentioned, Jeremy, this was a fast and furious decision. On behalf of the team and the team that was working behind the scenes to judge this, we are very excited to announce that we're thrilled to partner with Spirable as our winner of the bid.
Hey. Congratulations. Well done.
I don't have a speech. I would have prepared one.
Well done, Chris. Well deserved. What we'll do is we'll connect you to Jen right after this, and you can take this conversation forward, explore what that 20K pilot would look like, and hopefully this is the start of a much bigger partnership between the two companies as well.